All right, so um, we've got a pretty interesting stack of articles here, all about weight loss.
Yeah.
And looking at some of these headlines you sent over, we've got everything from these miracle gummies,
Oh, yeah.
and sprinkle in some celebrity endorsements, and even the pretty intriguing transformation of NFL coach Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
So clearly you're looking for some insights that go beyond the usual headlines.
Right.
So let's try to separate the hype from what might actually be helpful for you today.
I think that's a great place to start.
Yeah.
The weight loss world is just full of promises that sound a little too good to be true.
Absolutely. And speaking of too good to be true, this article here about Microbio V3 keto gummies really caught my eye. It claims that people are dropping like 50 pounds in just 61 days.
Wow.
And sparking, this Shark Tank frenzy.
Sure.
And millions of dollars in investments. The sisters behind it, Anna and Samantha Martin, they're apparent overnight sensations now. Are these gummies really a game changer, or is this just clever marketing?
Well, I mean, I have to say that a 50-pound weight loss in that short amount of time raises a red flag for me right away.
Right.
I mean, from a physiological perspective, that rate of loss is rarely sustainable or healthy.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
The article goes on to talk about ketosis and how these gummies are supposed to flood your body with BHB ketones to burn fat for energy. Is there any truth to that?
Yeah, so ketosis is a real metabolic state.
Okay.
But it's not like a magic switch that you just flip with a gummy.
Right.
It usually requires a very carefully managed low-carb diet to actually shift your body's primary fuel source from glucose to fat.
Got it.
And BHB, that's a type of ketone that's produced during ketosis.
Okay.
But simply ingesting it doesn't guarantee that your body will enter or stay in ketosis.
So this idea that you can just pop a gummy and suddenly your body's this fat-burning machine is probably oversimplifying things a bit.
I'd say so. Weight loss ultimately comes down to this one simple principle.
Yeah.
You need to burn more calories than you consume.
Right.
So while some ingredients might have a slight impact on your metabolism or your appetite, no supplement can replace a balanced diet and regular physical activity.
Okay, and this article goes on to make all these other claims about the gummies.
Like what?
Controlling your appetite, blocking fat formation, even boosting your mood.
Yeah.
It feels like they're really trying to cover all the bases here.
It's pretty typical, I think, to appeal to a wider audience by promising a whole bunch of benefits.
Yeah.
But I think these claims, they need to be examined really carefully.
Right.
While some ingredients may have some mild effects, sustainable weight loss is really about creating a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
And adopting healthy habits that you can stick with over time.
Right. And then on top of all that, you've got all these celebrity endorsements. Jennifer Hudson, Kelly Clarkson, Drew Carey, they're all supposedly raving about these gummies. I mean, it's hard not to be swayed by that, right?
Celebrity endorsements, they can be so persuasive.
Yeah.
But it's super important to remember that often they're paid promotions.
Oh, okay.
And even if a celebrity's experience is genuine, their results, might be influenced by a whole bunch of other factors.
Yeah.
They might have personal trainers, they might have chefs, they might have good genetics.
Sure.
So, what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for everybody.
Okay, so we need to be wary of those glowing testimonials.
Yeah.
Especially when they're mixed with claims that just sound way too good to be true.
Exactly. Critical thinking is so important.
Yeah.
When you're evaluating any weight loss product or program.
Right.
Look beyond the marketing hype. Consider the scientific evidence.
Yeah.
The potential side effects. And, whether you can really stick with it long term.
Okay, so that's a good reality check, I think, on this whole gummy craze.
Yeah.
Let's shift gears now to a more grounded story.
Okay.
The transformation of Brian Daboll.
Yeah.
You remember those pictures from the Giants' 100th anniversary event?
I do. He looked like a different person.
Yeah.
It's pretty remarkable.
He did.
It's inspiring to see someone in such a high-pressure role really prioritize their health like that.
Absolutely. And what's even more surprising is that his secret weapon...
What's that?
Wasn't some extreme diet or boot camp.
Yeah.
It was Pilates.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So that's what I find so fascinating about Daboll's story. it challenges our assumptions about what a typical weight loss journey should look like.
Right?
Pilates is often seen as this gentle form of exercise.
Yeah.
But it can be so effective for building strength, flexibility, core stability.
Absolutely.
And the articles mention that he's committed to these 5 Pilates sessions.
Oh, wow.
Talk about dedication.
That's impressive. Yeah, that consistency is probably a key factor in his success.
Right.
Daboll has talked about losing and regaining weight in the past, but this time around finding an activity that he actually enjoys and can stick with, seems to have made a big difference.
His approach is so different from that quick fix mentality of the gummy ads.
Oh, yeah, totally.
It's almost refreshing, to see that contrast.
Absolutely. Daboll's story just highlights the importance of a more holistic approach to weight loss.
Right.
It's not about finding the fastest way to drop pounds.
Yeah.
It's about finding a sustainable lifestyle that supports your overall well-being.
And Pilates in particular seems to offer a lot more than just calorie burning.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And Pilates focuses on building a strong core,
Okay.
which can improve your posture, reduce back pain, and even boost your athletic performance.
Wow.
And because it emphasizes controlled movements and mindful breathing,
Yeah.
it can also have mental benefits,
Okay.
like reducing stress and promoting relaxation.
So it's almost like a form of active stress relief then.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that is a crucial part of any sustainable weight loss journey. When we're stressed out,
Yeah.
our bodies release cortisol,
Right.
and that can lead to increased appetite,
Really?
cravings, and fat storage,
Wow.
particularly around the abdomen.
Okay, so finding healthy ways to manage stress is just as important as what we eat
Yes.
and how much we move.
Exactly. It all ties back to that concept of a holistic approach.
Right.
It's recognizing that weight loss is not just about calories in versus calories out.
Yeah.
It's about understanding how all aspects of our well-being are connected.
Right.
Our physical health, our mental and emotional state,
Yeah.
our sleep patterns, our stress levels, even our social connections.
So it's not just about finding the right diet or exercise routine.
Right.
It's about creating a lifestyle that supports all these different aspects of ourselves.
Exactly. It's about finding a balance that works for you. And that balance might look different for everyone.
Right.
For Daboll, it seems to involve early morning Pilates sessions,
Yeah.
a balanced approach to his diet, and, maybe some mindfulness techniques to deal with the stress of his job.
Which brings us back to those Microbiome V3 keto gummies and all those promises of effortless weight loss.
Right.
Given what we've just discussed about this holistic approach, how do those gummies fit into that bigger picture?
Well, they don't really.
Okay.
The problem with those quick fix solutions is that they tend to focus on a single aspect of weight loss.
Yeah.
Often it's calorie restriction or appetite suppression,
Right.
but they don't address those underlying factors that actually contribute to weight gain in the first place.
And they prey on our desire for instant gratification, right?
Oh.
We want to see results quickly with minimal effort.
Of course, that's where those before and after pictures and glowing testimonials can be so seductive.
Yeah.
They really tap into our emotions and kind of bypass our critical thinking.
But as we talked about earlier, those images can be easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And the testimonials are often cherry-picked. We really need to constantly remind ourselves to take a step back.
Right.
View these claims with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where, a little bit of knowledge and understanding can be so powerful.
Okay.
The more you understand about how your body works and what truly drives sustainable weight loss,
Yeah.
the less likely you are to fall for those marketing tactics.
So knowledge is power.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to this confusing world of weight loss.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's about empowering yourself to make informed decisions
Right.
that are right for you,
Yeah.
not for some supplement company or weight loss guru.
And part of being informed is understanding that there's no magic bullet,
Right.
right? There's no single product or program that will magically melt away the fat,
Yeah.
transform your body overnight.
It would be nice, though.
Yeah, right?
But unfortunately, that's not how it works.
Sustainable weight loss is a journey, not a destination.
Exactly.
Right. It's about making gradual, consistent changes. that you can stick with over time.
And it's about finding those changes that resonate with you.
Yeah.
Like Daboll and his Pilates.
Exactly.
You know, it's about honoring your individual needs and preferences.
Right.
There's no right or wrong way to approach weight loss,
Right.
as long as it's safe, sustainable, and supports your overall well-being.
All right, let's go back to the Microbio V3 keto gummies for a second.
Okay.
And their claims about ketosis, they make it sound like ketosis is this miracle fat-burning state that you can achieve effortlessly by popping a gummy.
Yeah, and that's where the marketing gets a little tricky.
Okay.
Because ketosis is a real metabolic state, but it's not as simple or effortless as they make it sound.
Okay, so can you break down what ketosis actually is?
Sure.
And how it relates to weight loss?
Yeah, so ketosis is a metabolic state where your body starts using fat for energy instead of glucose,
All right.
which is the sugar that comes from carbohydrates.
Okay.
Normally, your body relies on glucose as its primary fuel source.
Right.
But when you significantly reduce your carb intake, your body has to start breaking down stored fat
Okay.
to molecules called ketones,
Got it.
which it can then use for fuel.
So you have to significantly cut back on carbs to trigger ketosis.
Yeah, that's really the key.
Okay.
A typical ketogenic diet might consist of, 70 to 80% fat,
Wow.
20 to 25% protein,
Okay.
and only 5 to 10% carbohydrates.
That's pretty intense.
It's a strict way of eating
Yeah.
that requires very careful planning and monitoring.
Okay. And are there any potential downsides or risks?
There can be.
Okay.
Some people experience side effects like fatigue, constipation, headaches, and even what's often called the keto flu.
The keto flu?
Yeah.
What's that?
When they first transition to a ketogenic diet,
Oh, wow.
those side effects are usually temporary,
Okay.
but they can be pretty unpleasant.
That doesn't sound too appealing.
Yeah, it's not for everyone.
Okay.
And it's important to note that, ketosis,
Yeah.
it's not a magic bullet for weight loss.
Okay.
You can still gain weight on a ketogenic diet
Really?
if you're eating more calories than you're burning.
So it's not just about achieving ketosis. It's also about managing your calorie intake.
Yes.
Even if you are burning fat for fuel.
Exactly. And that's where those keto gummies can be a little misleading.
Okay.
They might contain ingredients that promote ketosis,
Yeah.
but they don't really address the need for overall calorie control.
Right. And they certainly don't address the potential risks or side effects
No.
associated with a strict ketogenic diet.
Exactly. It's really important to remember that any dietary change,
Yeah.
especially one as drastic as a ketogenic diet,
Right.
should be done under the guidance of a healthcare professional or a registered dietitian.
So before you jump on that keto bandwagon,
Yes.
it's crucial to do your research. Consult with a professional.
Yes.
Understand the potential implications for your health.
Exactly. It's about making informed decisions that are in line with your individual needs and goals.
Yeah.
And not just following the latest trends or marketing hype.
It's about taking ownership of your health.
Yeah.
Making choices that support your long-term well-being.
Precisely. And, that's what we see with Brian Daboll's approach. He's not following a fad diet or looking for a quick fix.
Right.
He found a way to integrate healthy habits into his life.
Yeah.
That seems sustainable and enjoyable for him.
It's inspiring, isn't it?
It is.
Even someone in such a high-pressure role can make time for their health and find a way to thrive.
Yeah. It's a good reminder that we all have that power to prioritize our well-being no matter what our circumstances are.
Right.
It's about making those small, consistent choices
Yeah.
that over time can lead to some pretty big changes.
And it's about celebrating those small victories along the way, right?
Absolutely.
Whether it's completing a Pilates session,
Yeah.
choosing a healthy meal, or just taking a few minutes to de-stress.
Exactly. It's about shifting our focus from perfection to progress and recognizing that every step we take towards a healthier lifestyle is a step in the right direction.
I like that.
Yeah,
It sounds like we're talking about a mindset shift as much as anything else.
I think so.
Instead of focusing on what we're depriving ourselves of, we can focus on the positive changes that we're making and how those changes are making us feel.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
It's about reframing our relationship with food and exercise.
Okay.
Not seeing them as punishments or obligations, but as tools to support our overall well-being.
And it's about recognizing that well-being encompasses more than just our physical health.
Right.
Right? It's also about our mental, emotional, and even spiritual health.
Absolutely. And that's actually something we haven't touched on much in this deep dive.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about diet and exercise.
Right.
But, it's important to acknowledge the role that stress, sleep, and emotional health play
Yeah.
in our overall well-being
Yeah.
and ultimately our weight management.
So even if we're eating all the right foods and exercising regularly,
Yeah.
if we're constantly stressed or sleep deprived,
Mm-hmm.
that can sabotage our efforts.
Exactly. Chronic stress
Yeah.
can disrupt our hormonal balance,
Okay.
leading to increased cravings, poor sleep,
Really?
and even difficulty losing weight,
Wow.
particularly around the midsection.
So like those times when you're feeling super overwhelmed
Yeah.
and the only thing that sounds good
Uh-huh.
is a big bowl of pasta or a pint of ice cream.
Yeah, that's a perfect example
Yeah.
of how our emotions can drive our food choices.
Right.
You know, when we're stressed,
Mm-hmm.
we reach for those comfort foods
Yeah.
that provide a temporary sense of relief,
Right.
but might not actually support our long-term health goals.
So what can we do to address that stress component?
That's a good question.
I mean, we can't just eliminate stress from our lives entirely, right?
True, but we can definitely learn to manage it more effectively.
Okay.
You know, there are tons of techniques out there.
Yeah.
Everything from mindfulness practices like meditation and deep breathing
Yeah.
to more active approaches like yoga or spending time in nature.
So even something as simple as taking a few minutes each day to disconnect from technology
Yeah.
and engage in some kind of relaxing activity can make a difference.
Absolutely. It's about finding those little moments of self-care
Yeah.
that nourish your mind and body.
And it's about prioritizing sleep, right?
Oh, for sure.
I know, I definitely feel the effects of sleep deprivation, both physically and mentally.
Yes, sleep is so crucial
Yeah.
for so many bodily functions,
Okay.
including hormone regulation,
Mm-hmm.
metabolism,
Yeah.
and even our ability to make healthy food choices.
When we're sleep deprived,
Yeah.
our bodies produce more of the hunger hormone, ghrelin,
Okay.
and less of the satiety hormone, leptin,
Got it.
which can lead to, increased cravings and overeating.
So it's not just about how many hours we spend at the gym.
Right.
It's about how we're taking care of ourselves outside the gym as well.
Exactly. It's about creating that holistic lifestyle
Mm-hmm.
that supports all aspects of our well-being.
Right.
And that includes,
Yeah.
nurturing our emotional health, managing stress effectively,
Yeah.
and prioritizing sleep.
It sounds like we're talking about a major paradigm shift
Mm-hmm.
from that quick fix mentality that dominates so much of the weight loss industry.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
It's about moving away from external solutions,
Right.
like pills and fad diets,
Yeah.
and focusing on the internal work, the
Okay.
self-care practices that really nourish our mind, body, and spirit.
So where do we go from here?
That's the big question. If someone's listening to this deep dive and feeling inspired to make some changes,
Yeah.
what's the first step?
Well, I think it starts with a simple question.
Okay.
What small step can you take today
Yeah.
to move towards a healthier, happier lifestyle?
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be anything drastic.
Okay.
It could be as simple as swapping out a sugary drink for water,
Right.
or adding a 15-minute walk to your routine,
Mm-hmm.
or committing to a few minutes of deep breathing each day.
It's about those small, consistent actions
Yes.
that over time can create that ripple effect
Mm.
and lead to significant transformation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, it's also about remembering that you're not alone in this journey.
Right.
There's so many resources out there to support you.
Like what?
Healthcare professionals,
Mm-hmm.
registered dietitians,
Yeah.
fitness instructors,
Okay.
even online communities.
Sure.
It's
Yeah.
about finding what works for you, what resonates with your individual needs and preferences,
Right.
and honoring your own journey,
Yeah.
celebrating your progress, and being kind to yourself along the way.
I love that.
Oh,
All right. So I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
yeah, I think so.
We've explored the hype surrounding those so-called skinny pills,
Mm-hmm.
the inspiring transformation of Brian Daboll through his dedicated Pilates practice, and most importantly, the power of that holistic approach.
Right.
That encompasses not only our physical health,
Mm-hmm.
but our mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being.
It's been a fascinating deep dive
Yeah.
into the complexities of weight loss.
Absolutely.
And I think the key takeaway is that sustainable change is possible,
Yeah.
but it takes a shift in mindset, a commitment to self-care,
Mm-hmm.
and a willingness to really embrace the journey
Yeah.
with all its ups and downs.
I love that, beautifully said. And remember, listeners, you have the power to create a healthier, happier life for yourselves.
You do.
It starts with believing in yourself, taking those small steps each day,
Mm,
and never giving up on your goals.
absolutely.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.
See ya.
You know what stands out to me is that Daboll kind of downplayed his weight loss at first.
Yeah.
He said it wasn't a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until a colleague pointed it out
Right.
and revealed that they had a bet going that he actually started talking about it.
Interesting. So it almost suggests that he wasn't focused on the outward appearance as much as maybe those internal benefit.
Exactly. And I think that shift in focus can be really empowering.
Yeah.
It's not about striving for a certain body image. It's about feeling good in your own skin.
Right.
And having the energy to, tackle the demands of your life.
Yeah.
Whether you're an NFL coach or juggling a busy family schedule.
And it's not like he's a stranger to the ups and downs of weight loss either.
Right.
The articles mention that he previously lost like 50 pounds when he first took the Giants head coaching job.
Yeah.
But then he regained some of it. So this time around, something seems different.
That's a familiar pattern, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It really highlights the difference between short-term weight loss efforts and creating lasting lifestyle changes.
Right.
The first time around, Daboll might have been focused on a very specific goal.
Like what?
Maybe fitting into a certain suit for the new job.
Okay.
But this time it seems like he's found an approach
Yeah.
that actually fits his personality and preferences.
Which brings us back to Pilates.
Right.
What is it about this particular type of exercise that seems to really resonate with him?
Well, aside from the physical benefits we've already talked about,
Yeah.
Pilates requires a level of focus and concentration
Okay.
that can be almost meditative.
Interesting.
It's not just about going through the motions mindlessly. It's about being present in your body and connecting with your breath.
Okay.
And I think that aspect might be especially appealing to someone like Daboll,
Right.
who's constantly dealing with those mental demands of his job.
So it's almost like a form of active stress relief then.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that is a crucial element of any sustainable weight loss approach. When we're stressed out,
Yeah.
our bodies release cortisol,
Right.
which can lead to increased appetite cravings and fat storage,
Really?
especially around the abdomen. So finding healthy ways to manage stress is just as important
Yeah.
as, what we eat and how much we move.
And that ties back into that whole concept of a holistic approach.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's about recognizing that weight loss isn't just about, calories in versus calories out. It's about understanding how all these aspects of our well-being are connected.
Right.
Our physical health, our mental and emotional state,
Yeah.
our sleep patterns, our stress levels, even our social connections.
So it's not just about finding the right diet or exercise routine.
Right.
It's about creating a lifestyle that supports all these different parts of ourselves.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance that works for you.
Yeah.
And that balance might look different for everyone.
Right.
For Daboll, it seems to involve those early morning Pilates sessions, a balanced approach to his food,
Right.
and maybe even some mindfulness techniques
Yeah.
to, help manage the stress of his job.
Okay, so that brings us back to those microbio V3 keto gummies and, all those promises of effortless weight loss.
Right.
So given what we've just discussed about this holistic approach,
Yeah.
how do those gummies fit into that bigger picture?
Well, they don't really.
Okay.
The problem with those quick fix solutions
Yes.
is that they focus on a single aspect of weight loss.
Okay.
Often it's calorie restriction or appetite suppression.
Right.
But they don't address those underlying factors that contribute to weight gain in the first place.
And they prey on our desire for, instant gratification.
Of course.
We want to see those results fast.
Right.
And we want them with minimal effort.
Exactly. And that's where those before and after photos and glowing testimonials can be so seductive.
Right.
They tap into our emotions and they bypass our critical thinking.
But as we talked about earlier, those images can be manipulated.
Yeah.
And those testimonials are often cherry-picked. So we need to remind ourselves to take a step back and view those claims with a healthy dose of skepticism.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's where a bit of knowledge and understanding can be so empowering.
Okay.
The more you understand about how your body works and what truly drives sustainable weight loss,
Right.
the less likely you are to fall for those marketing tactics.
So knowledge is power.
It is.
Especially when it comes to navigating this confusing world of weight loss.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's about empowering yourself to make informed decisions that are right for you. Not for, some supplement company or weight loss guru.
And part of being informed is understanding that there's no magic bullet.
Right.
Right? There's no single product or program that will magically melt away fat and transform your body overnight.
Unfortunately, no.
So sustainable weight loss is a journey, not a destination.
Exactly.
It's about making gradual, consistent changes that you can stick with over time.
And it's about finding those changes that resonate with you.
Yeah.
Like Daboll and his Pilates.
Right.
It's about honoring your individual needs and preferences.
Okay.
There's no right or wrong way to approach weight loss.
Gotcha.
As long as it's safe, sustainable, and supports your overall well-being.
So speaking of safe and sustainable, let's go back to those Microbio V3 keto gummies.
Okay.
And their claims about ketosis. You know, they make it sound like ketosis is this miracle fat-burning state that you can achieve just by popping a gummy.
Yeah, and that's where the marketing gets tricky, because ketosis is a real metabolic state. But it's not as simple or effortless as they make it sound.
So can you break down what ketosis actually is?
Sure.
And how it relates to weight loss?
Ketosis is a metabolic state where your body starts using fat for energy instead of glucose.
Okay.
Which is the sugar that comes from carbohydrates.
Right.
So normally your body relies on glucose as its primary fuel source. But when you drastically reduce your carbohydrate intake, your body has to start breaking down stored fat into molecules called ketones, which it can then use for fuel.
So you have to significantly cut back on carbs then.
You do.
To trigger ketosis.
Yeah, that's the key.
Okay.
And a typical ketogenic diet might consist of something like 70 to 80% fat.
Wow.
20 to 25% protein, and only like 5 to 10% carbs.
That's very strict.
It's a very strict way of eating.
Yeah.
It requires a lot of planning and monitoring.
And are there any potential downsides or risks associated with ketosis?
There can be.
Okay.
Some people experience some side effects.
It's like fatigue, constipation, headaches.
And even what's called the keto flu.
Oh, right, the keto flu.
Yeah, when they first transition to that ketogenic diet.
Wow.
And, you know, these side effects are usually temporary, but they can be pretty unpleasant.
I bet.
Yeah. And it's important to note that ketosis, it's not a magic bullet for weight loss.
Right.
You can still gain weight on a ketogenic diet if you're eating more calories than you're burning.
So it's not just about achieving ketosis.
Right.
It's also about managing your calorie intake, even if you are burning fat for fuel.
Exactly. And that's where I think those keto gummies can be misleading.
Okay.
You know, they might contain some ingredients that could promote ketosis, but they don't address the need for overall calorie control.
Right, and they certainly don't address the potential risks or side effects associated with a really strict ketogenic diet.
You got it. And it's super important to remember that any dietary change, especially one as drastic as the ketogenic diet,
should really be done under the guidance of a healthcare professional or a registered dietitian.
So before you jump on the keto bandwagon, you really got to do your research.
You do.
Consult with a professional and really understand the potential implications for your health.
Exactly. It's about making those informed decisions that align with your individual needs and goals.
Yeah.
Not just following the latest trends or marketing hype.
It's about taking ownership of your health and making choices that support your long-term well-being.
Precisely. And, you know, that's what we see with Brian Daboll's approach. He's not following a fad diet or, you know, looking for that quick fix.
Right.
He's figured out a way to incorporate healthy habits into his life.
Yeah.
In a way that seems sustainable and enjoyable for him.
It really is inspiring. If even someone in such a high-pressure role can make time for their health and find a way to thrive.
It's a good reminder that we all have that power.
Right.
To prioritize our well-being regardless of our circumstances.
Yeah. It's about making those small, consistent choices.
Yes.
That over time can lead to significant transformation.
Absolutely.
And it's about celebrating those little victories along the way.
For sure.
You know, whether it's completing a Pilates session, choosing a healthy meal, taking a few minutes to de-stress.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about shifting our focus from perfection to progress. And recognizing that every step we take towards a healthier lifestyle is a step in the right direction.
Yeah. It really is about a mindset shift, isn't it?
I think so.
Instead of focusing on what we're depriving ourselves of, we can focus on, you know, the positive changes we're making and how those changes are making us feel.
That's a really great point.
Yeah.
It's about reframing our relationship with food and exercise.
Okay.
Not seeing them as punishments or obligations.
Right.
But as tools to, you know, support our overall well-being.
And recognizing that well-being encompasses more than just physical health.
Yes.
Right. It's mental, emotional, even spiritual.
Absolutely, and that's something we haven't really touched on that much in this deep dive.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about diet and exercise.
Yeah.
But I think it's important to acknowledge the role that stress, sleep, and emotional health play in our overall well-being and ultimately, in our weight management journey.
So even if we're eating all the right foods and exercising regularly,
Right.
if we're constantly stressed or sleep deprived, it can sabotage our efforts.
It really can't. Chronic stress can actually disrupt our hormonal balance, leading to increased cravings, poor sleep, and even, difficulty losing weight.
Wow.
Particularly around the midsection.
It's like those times, when you're feeling super overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And the only thing that sounds good is like a giant bowl of pasta or a pint of ice cream.
Exactly. That's a perfect example of how our emotional state can really drive our food choices.
Right.
When we're stressed, we often reach for comfort foods that provide that temporary relief, but ultimately might not be supporting our long-term health goals.
So what can we do to address that stress component?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't just eliminate stress from our lives completely,
Right.
but we can learn to manage it better.
Okay.
And there are so many different techniques out there.
Yeah, like what?
Everything from mindfulness practices like meditation and deep breathing to more active approaches like yoga or spending time in nature.
Even something as simple as taking a few minutes each day to disconnect from technology and engage in some kind of relaxing activity.
Absolutely. It's about, finding those small moments of self-care that can really nourish your mind and body.
And prioritizing sleep.
Oh, yeah. Sleep is so important.
I know, I feel it.
Yeah.
When I don't get enough.
Oh, yeah. Both physically and mentally.
For sure.
Sleep is crucial for so many different bodily functions. Hormone regulation, metabolism, even our ability to make healthy food choices. When we're sleep deprived, our bodies actually produce more of the hunger hormone ghrelin and less of the satiety hormone leptin.
So you feel hungrier, basically.
Yeah, and that can lead to increased cravings and overeating.
So it's not just about, how many hours we're spending at the gym.
Right.
It's about how we're taking care of ourselves outside of the gym.
Exactly. It's about creating this holistic lifestyle that really supports, every aspect of our well-being.
Right. And that includes, taking care of our emotional health, managing stress, and prioritizing sleep.
Absolutely. You can't forget about those things.
It sounds like a pretty major paradigm shift.
It is.
From that quick fix mentality that dominates so much of the weight loss industry.
I think you're right. It's about moving away from those external solutions like pills or fad diets and really focusing on that internal work. The self-care practices that nourish our mind, body, and spirit.
So where do we go from here?
That's a great question.
If someone's listening to this deep dive and they're feeling inspired to make some changes, what's that first step?
I think it starts with a simple question.
Okay.
What small step can you take today to move towards a healthier, happier lifestyle?
Okay.
And it really doesn't have to be this big drastic change.
Right.
It could be as simple as, swapping out a sugary drink for water.
Sure.
Or adding a 15-minute walk to your daily routine. Or even just committing to a few minutes of deep breathing every day.
Those small, consistent actions that over time create that ripple effect.
And lead to bigger transformations.
Yeah, and it's important to remember that you're not alone on this journey.
That's so true.
There are tons of resources out there to support you.
There really are.
Healthcare professionals, registered dietitians, fitness instructors, even online communities.
Yeah, it's about finding what works for you.
Absolutely.
What resonates with your individual needs and preferences.
Honoring your own journey, celebrating your progress, and being kind to yourself along the way.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
All right, well, I think we've given our listeners a lot to think about today.
I hope so.
We explored the hype around those so-called skinny pills, the inspiring transformation of Brian Daboll through his dedicated Pilates practice, and most importantly, the power of that holistic approach.
Right.
That encompasses not only our physical health, but our mental, emotional, and even spiritual well-being.
It's been a great deep dive.
It has.
Really getting into the complexities of weight loss.
For sure, and I think that key takeaway is that sustainable change is possible.
Yes.
But it requires, a shift in mindset, a commitment to self-care.
Absolutely.
And a willingness to embrace the journey with all of its ups and downs.
I love that.
Beautifully said. And remember, listeners, you have the power to create a healthier, happier life.
You do.
You know, it starts with believing in yourself, taking those small steps each day, and never giving up on your goals.
Never give up.
All right, so thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep.
Keep diving deep.
See ya.